Let's talk about narrative family therapy, Diane. What do you know about it?
Well, it's a more recent adaptation, I think, of the concepts that were developed at from the MRI Research Institute. We connect it with the term constructivist also in terms of the approach. My sense that it's pretty different from what we traditionally see, particularly in that the therapist helps people externalize the problem. You know, and as someone who's spent a lot of time helping students learn how to move clients from externalization, you know, you'd wonder.
Get them to talk about them, insides.
Yeah, you wonder about that. So it's an interesting way of looking at therapy.
Yeah. It's my understanding that language is really where it's at in this approach. That what the therapist attempts to do is to really create a therapeutic conversation with the family members that really focuses on externalizing the problem, as you'd mentioned. What happens is that once the problem is externalized, then the family can work collaboratively against the problem and see it as an enemy. How does this fit with other theories that we've studied?
Well, it's certainly different from what we would call traditional approaches, but it does have some threads of the solution-focused and strategic and the others that grew out of MRI in that research in that sense.
Why don't we bring out our guest, Stephen Madigan, and find out some more about this approach. Stephen, welcome.
Hi, John.
Welcome, Stephen.
Stephen, just what is narrative family therapy or narrative therapy?
It's a very big question. How much time do I have?
Oh, about a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Kind of in a nutshell.
Narrative comes out of the traditions of feminism, anthropology, and French philosophy, and that's where it is informed. However, your comment about MRI, it's also influenced by the work of Gregory Bates in the early work, and also it is influenced from the work of Jerome Bruner, the person who probably started the school of cognitive behavioral therapy, and then later on in life switched to what he called folk psychology, and much of and narrative psychology, and much of the beginning work of this particular style of family therapy grew out of those traditions as opposed to growing out of psychiatric and psychologically informed traditions of family therapy.
Well, just what is it, if you had to kind of put it in a nutshell?
It is looking at the reauthoring of people's lives and looking at how it is that people have come to know themselves and through what structures, institutions, and archives and language is informing this view of this person's identity.
So it has some relationship to the idea of what you believe about yourself, or the kind of rules you set for yourself, or how you...
So we would look at, that's right, we would look at what it is that you do believe yourself, and what has helped you to receive this and enter into this belief of yourself.
Okay.
So that this person did not create this problem on their own. We would see that this person is situated or located within certain dominant cultural stories of who persons are and how they should be and how they shouldn't be.
And then these stories kind of trap people? Or?
Well, you mentioned constructivists, and we're not really constructivists. We would probably call ourselves constitutionalists, meaning that people are constituted in language, meaning that language has real effects on people's lives. The stories that we tell and the stories that are told about us, we live through and are lived through us. So certain dominant norms are continually being lived by us.
Okay. You talked a little bit about the influence of the culture. How does this work with the many cultural differences that we see in our clients?
We would see that certain ideas about who people are and how they've come to know themselves as persons is structured through dominant norms, which is, in this culture anyway, which is white culture, white heterosexual culture. And we would begin looking at the politics, or the relational politics of gender, of race, of sexual preference, of class, and the effects that these have had on the identity of persons and the relational politics of how it is they play out their lives.
Is there a research base for this? What does research tell us about this approach?
Not a heck of a lot. There's not a whole lot of research. The only research that I know that is being done currently is the research that we're doing in Canada at St. Paul's Hospital with the difference between cognitive behavioral groups with anorexia and bulimia and narrative groups. And we've done the first run of this, and more is to come.
Is this an approach that's interested in research? I thought I heard something that it's not a research-based approach.
I think it depends on who you talk with, and I think it depends on what kind of research tools you're using.
I guess it's skeptical of much of the research in society, because the research is based upon some premises that come from the dominant culture.
Yeah, so I could see that some narrative analysis, qualitative research, grounded theory,
I see.
that kind of research, which is becoming more and more popular. And so the research that we're doing on the groups that they're studying the groups that I'm running is both. It's quantitative and qualitative.
You talked a little bit about some of the antecedents of this approach, but how was narrative therapy developed? How did it come to be?
How did it come to be?
Where's your role in all of that? Easy question.
The people that would so-called invented this way of working met in 1981 at an Australia-New Zealand family therapy conference.
So it's very new.
Yes, and I caught up with them in 1986. And at that time, the work of externalizing, as you mentioned, was being taught through Batesonian metaphors more than anything else. And then it became more and more informed by French philosophy, particularly the work of Michel Foucault, feminism, anthropology, and currently geography and postmodernism.
In this approach, does it work with all families? Are there groups or people that it just doesn't work with?
Not that I've found. No, not that I've found. I think that everyone is, suffers the certain effects of being totalized with certain problems and how problems take over a person's lives, and which doesn't really represent a full description of who themselves and their relationships are.
Well, how do you tailor the approach to work with different people?
I've been asked that many times, and because of the amount and the nature of the questions that I ask, people think that they're scripted, but I think that my work is located in compassion. So it's about really listening to people's conversations and being interested in the language that they're using and asking questions about that language and how it is they've come to describe themselves or use certain words in certain ways. So we're always looking at the meaning of language and the effect of that meaning on their life. So as yet, I haven't. It hasn't been reported that people have had a difficult time with this approach to therapy.
You talk about asking questions. Are there specific techniques or interventions, or are there specific kinds of questions that you're using?
Quite often I'm using externalizing questions. You mentioned externalizing.
What do you mean by that? What's an externalizing?
Well, externalizing, I think what we should actually be talking about is externalizing the internalized problem discourse. So I'll break that up for you.
Please.
When I'm talking about internalized problem discourse, I'm using discourse from a Foucaultian point of view, and we're looking at what can be said, who can say it, and with what authority. So we're looking at the process of how it is that this person has come to see themselves as being problematic, and who are the voices that are concerned with this talk. And often this talk, particularly when we're talking problems, problems tend to totalize and dominate people's lives, so it represents a very thin description or a partial description of who persons are. Through externalizing, we afford space to persons to access and talk about, to experience other aspects of who they are or who they might be, who they have been, that operate alongside and are experienced alongside the problem description as well. So it offers a much thicker description, And in terms of the narrative of their life, we try and thicken the plot of their life alongside this problematic description. Problematic descriptions also quite often come from dominant knowledges and or taken for granted knowledges, and what we like to look at is the more local knowledges, the wisdom and experience of the person or the family that we're working with.
So it becomes very much culturally based in that sense.
Yes, culturally based, gender-based, class-based.
So one of the techniques is this questioning and externalizing the problem.
Yes.
What other ones are used?
Yes. In a therapeutic interview, I think what we're looking at is the first part of an interview would be the deconstruction piece of the interview. The deconstruction meaning that's just a fancy term for unpacking or contradicting certain problematic totalizing stories of persons. So, for instance, if a couple comes in and they say, we argue all the time, we know that couples don't always argue all the time, and that in the history of their relationship has not always been filled with argument. However, they begin to live through certain ideas that we argue all the time. So the stories that people come through, what we begin to do is expand and poke holes in the problematic discourse. The second piece of an interview might be looked at as a reauthoring piece. It's about bringing aspects of themselves forward to expand the plot of their preferred stories of who they are, who they might be. And that also requires a re-remembering piece of bringing aspects of themselves forward into existence. And the third piece of an interview would be what I would call a remembering piece. Problems we see as dismembering of people, or dismembers people from other aspects of themselves, their relationship, their activities, their clubs, their groups. And problems have a very good way of isolating people. And through remembering practices, we attempt to find membership for them back into groups of concern, of love, of care. And we might call these communities of concern. So that there would be deconstruction, reauthoring, and remembering. Those would be the three aspects of that don't go, often don't go in a nice tight fit, but we are constantly doing these three aspects of the interview.
In the way you would do this deconstruction, part of it involves looking for exceptions to rules, or I think what's called unique outcomes.
Yes.
Then you move on to the reauthoring, and how do you do that?
Well, reauthoring is about asking people to, it comes through the questions, but it's about asking people to re-experience other aspects of their life or preferred moments in their life, and giving that more time and more experience, and to have that knowledged more. Quite often, as I mentioned earlier, problems tend to take over people's lives, and they begin to live through these problematic descriptions. Through reauthoring, it's about giving them an opportunity to re-experience and reversion, rewrite their lives in certain ways.
Okay. Well, yeah. Go ahead.
You talked about this being a fairly new approach.
Yes.
And I was just sitting here thinking, things kind of evolve, and I'm wondering if you were 10 years from now, how do you think this is going to look? Or do you see things changing in terms of your approach?
I can't speak for all people involved with narrative, but I know that my work is certainly moving towards doing a lot more group work, doing multiple family groups, multiple couple groups. Mainly because when we're asking people to reauthor their lives or to enter into other aspects of who they might be, a part of this involves a witnessing and having communities be a part of and help them rewrite who they are. These would be considered rituals of inclusion as opposed to problematic rituals of exclusion. So my work is moving towards creating what I would call communities of concern, and moving into the community, and moving into having groups of persons work together to stand against problems and to stand against problematic dominant norms in the culture. So that's where my work is going.
Well, that sounds very Adlerian. It sounds a lot like the concepts that Adler talked about social interest and community work. And,
yes. I think the idea of therapist-person interaction and conversation is but one mode or one step. But I like what Adler said in terms of this social action and creating what we would call communities of concern, communities of care. And you can read about that in the a lot that I've written on the Anti-Anorexia League that I have been fortunate enough to co-start with David Epstein in New Zealand. And these are grassroots organizations of people standing up against the problem, but also standing up against and working alongside one another to take issue with those aspects of the culture that are, we would consider pro-anorexic, pro-bulimic. So they're become these, from patients to political activists in some ways. It's very exciting to be a part of, and it's very effective.
Yeah. Well, in a few minutes, we're going to watch you work with a mother and her young son. What were you attempting to do in this interview?
Well, first of all, was to listen carefully, and to also listen in a way that white ears could hear a person of color's voice.
This was an African American.
This is an African American mother and her child. And I wasn't really sure what her experience, their experience may or may not have been with white culture, but so more than anything else, I wanted to make it safe. That was the most important thing, more than how the video turned out or anything like that. I wanted to make it safe for them. The next piece of it, I wanted to hear the story from both the mother and the young man, Ollie. The reason I wanted to do that is that quite often parents speak on behalf of children, but if the children don't think that there's a problem, you don't really have a session. So I wanted to hear that from both of them, and I wanted to hear what their stance on the problem was and how that was informed. And then we would go from there. But really, I wanted to make it safe and to listen as compassionately as possible to the experience they were having with this problem in their life.
Are there things that our audience should be looking for as they're watching this?
I would ask them to pay attention to my questions and to look at what it was that they said and then the question that follows up. Just to look at the structure of language in the questions. I don't believe the questions are neutral. I believe I'm taking positions on questions. I believe that there's a rhetoric of intent in the questions, meaning there's a persuasive quality. There's also a conscious purpose behind the intent. So if I were them, I would sit back and just listen to the questions, and maybe they'll have questions about my questions at the end of this. I'm Mrs. Poindexter.
Hi.
And Ollie. We got caught up outside a little bit, and so we got to catch up a little bit about where you live and where I live. And I told you that I lived a long ways away in Canada, and you told me you lived up the road.
Right.
And we're going to kind of continue on that kind of conversation. And we'll go for about 45 or 50 minutes.
Okay.
And then we'll stop, and if you have any questions afterwards, we can spend a bit of time together afterwards as well, if you'd like.
All right.
But I guess what I'm most interested in tonight is why it is that you've come to see someone like me in counseling, or a counselor at this particular time.
Okay. My son Ollie, he had a problem at school, and it went to the court. So then at that point they asked about us seeking counseling for him.
Okay.
About like anger counseling.
Okay. Do you mind if I take some notes while we talk?
Yes.
And if you'd like to take them home with you tonight, you
Sure.
can. I'll just jot down if you can understand my writing by the
Okay,
end.
all right.
So there was some trouble at school,
Yes.
and I went to the courts.
Right.
And the courts then suggested that you
Seek
seek some
counseling for him.
counseling. Okay. And did you say something that it had to do with, in your opinion, something to do with anger?
Right.
And would that be your word or the court's word?
The court's word.
The court's word. What word would you use?
Okay, in my opinion, I don't think you need any counseling, but once something go to court, then you have to follow whatever
Sure.
steps they say to take.
Right. So what do you think they got wrong?
Okay, say that again.
What is it that you think that the court may not have seen in Ollie that maybe you see in Ollie, and that what they would call anger, you would call something else? What would you call it?
Just a good talking to,
Good talking to?
telling him to take something, to do something a different way,
I see.
instead of, well, what he did, he wasn't trying to hurt someone, but they thought he was.
Do you want to tell me what happened, or is that important?
No, he said that he was in a bathroom, he and another boy, and that the boy hit him on the arm. They weren't fighting.
Yes.
The boy went out the bathroom, he say. When he come back in, he say that he hit him, he take his belt off and hit him with the belt. That do sound, it doesn't sound right to hit someone with a belt.
Yeah. So you would think that hitting someone with a belt is not a good...
No, he shouldn't have hit him with a belt. But so when the boy went home, told his parents, then they had him go to court.
I see. So was it Ollie charged?
Yes,
Yes. And what was he charged with?
battery.
Battery. Does that mean assault? Is that
Yeah, the belt. They said
The
that's
belt.
assault.
I see.
Yes.
I see.
So then he had to seek counseling
And that's why
and see what they say.
I see. And that's why you've come here
Yes,
to talk to me. Yeah.
yes.
I see. But you think that perhaps a good talking to at home would have...
It really was just a kid thing. It wasn't a big thing. It was just that they made a big thing out of it.
I see. And the they is who?
The
Who?
parent.
The parents. I see. What do you think about this? Would you agree with your mom, or would you
Yes.
agree with your...
I
the
agree with
courts?
my mom.
Yeah. Why would you agree with your mom, Ollie?
Because I don't even think it was anything to do anything like that about, like, go to court.
Yeah. What's your story of what happened?
I walked in the bathroom. He was already in there.
Is this
And-
a guy you know, or
Yeah, he's my class,
would he be a friend of yours or not a friend of yours?
a friend.
He'd be a friend of yours. Okay.
And then I went to look in the mirror. Then he hit my arm and said, "Hi, Ollie." He hit me in my arm and said, "Hi, Ollie." Then
Is this something that you
Yeah.
guys do when you see each other? Do you hit each other in the arm, or
not usually.
not usually? Okay.
But then I told him that hurt. Then he went out the bathroom, came back in, and then I hit him with the belt. Then he went back to the class. When we got back to the class, he started laughing.
Okay. And this, I'm not really understanding some things. Do you mind if I ask you a little bit more about this? Like when you took off the belt, was it for what reason?
I was just playing around with him.
You were playing around, so it was a playing around kind of hit,
Yeah,
but it wasn't a hit to hurt?
no.
No. Okay, and did he understand that it was playing around?
I guess so, because he laughed when we got into class.
He laughed.
Yeah.
And so at which point do you think the story took a turn? That it became from laughing to something serious?
When he told his parents that someone hit him with the belt in the bathroom.
I see. I see. So what happened after that? After his parents, did they phone up the school, or?
I think they had called the school, then the school called here and told my mom that they were going to send a letter for us to go to court.
I see. I see. Now, have you ever been to court before?
No.
No. And is this a new kind of trouble that you would be involved with, or an old kind of trouble?
No.
Be a new kind of trouble. I see. And when your mom was saying that your trouble was school, is school troubling at all for you, or?
Sometimes.
Yeah. How would school be troubling for you?
Because it's just certain people that do certain things.
How do you mean? Like, I kind of know what the trouble is like up in Canada, but I'm not sure if it's the same as the kind of trouble that might go on down here.
Like, some people in my class have bad attitudes and stuff like that. Then, one time I asked the teacher, we were reading something in the book, I asked the teacher what page we were on. And then, the person said, "You should know, Ali, why don't you ask somebody else," or something like that.
That's what the teacher said?
No, this was somebody in my class said.
Oh, that's what somebody in your class said, yeah.
And then I told them I wanted to be quiet. Then the substitute sent me to the office.
Oh. So would you have a reputation as someone who has a troubled reputation or a not troubled reputation?
Not troubled.
Not troubled. Would you agree with that? That always someone that doesn't have a troubled reputation, someone that...
He's a good boy.
He's a good boy.
And he's okay as long as someone doesn't keep aggravating him, and as long as if someone bothers him,
Yeah.
he'll get angry.
He'll
Get angry.
get angry. And do you think, Ollie, that, like, would you agree with your mom, with what she's saying?
Yes.
Yeah. So do you think that people aggravating you will eventually get you to have a troubled reputation? Do you think that that's possible, and then you'd have to give up your good boy reputation?
No, I don't think so all the time.
No.
Like if somebody aggravates me, sometimes I won't do anything. Sometimes I'll just tell the teacher.
I see. Which would you prefer to have, a troubled boy reputation or a good boy reputation?
Good boy reputation.
How come?
Because I don't want to be bad. I don't like to be bad.
Why
Or do
not?
anything.
Why don't you like being bad?
Because then you'll get suspended from school or something like that.
Yeah. And is that a bad thing if you were to get suspended?
Yeah.
How come it would be a bad thing if you were to get suspended from school?
Because then if you're out, then you don't learn that much.
Okay, so if you're out of school, then you won't be able to learn much. And why is that a problem if you don't learn much?
Because if you're not in school, then you just won't be able to learn. Then the teacher won't be there to teach you anything.
Yeah. So what's your sense of what happens to people who don't have teachers teaching them and aren't learning? What happens to people like that?
When they grow up, they don't have good jobs or something like that.
Yeah. Well, why would it be important for you to have a good job?
So I can have a good living when I get older.
Yeah. Why would you want to have a good living?
So I can have like a good house and everything, stuff like that.
Good house?
Yeah. Then I won't be like, what you call it? I won't be in trouble or anything when I get older, like going to jail or anything.
Be in trouble. And you said not going to jail? To jail. Okay, so part of the reason then, if I can just recap for you, that you would want to have a good reputation or a good boy reputation is that it would allow you to finish school and have people teaching you. You could make a good living. You could buy a good house, and it would help you not to get in trouble, and it would help you stay away from jail. Yeah? Would there be other reasons why you might want to, stay away from a troubled reputation?
Because if you have a troubled reputation, you won't have many friends.
You won't have friends? Okay. Is there anything else other than, having a troubled reputation won't give you friends, and having a good one will allow you to finish school and have good teaching? You make a good living, have a good house, won't get in trouble, and not going to jail?
If you have a good boy reputation, you'll have friends, and
You have friends? Okay. All right. Now, it seems like a lot riding on. You get a lot for having a good boy reputation, and would I be right in saying that you don't get much from having a troubled reputation? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What else would happen to you if you developed a troubled reputation, and trouble was getting in the way of your life and getting in the way of all the good boy reputation?
not be in trouble a lot.
Yeah, if you were being in trouble a lot, what would that bring to your life? Can you think of things that maybe what it would bring to your life and maybe what it's already brought to your life in this recent bit of trouble that followed you?
No.
No. Do you think your mom might have some ideas on this?
Yeah.
Should I ask her? Yeah. What do you think might happen if trouble was to gain more of a life in Ollie's life? If it began to take over his life a bit more? What do you think? Can you think of things that might happen to him and his reputation?
Okay. Getting into trouble, he'll not get to watch TV. He doesn't have a TV.
So there'd be no TV watch left.
It's already gone. The TV and the Sega channel.
Sega channel. So has trouble already taken? I'm gathering that Ollie likes to watch TV in the Sega channel.
Yes.
Do you? Yeah. And so already trouble has taken the TV channel the TV watching and the Sega channel away from him?
Yes.
Can you think of other things that trouble might, if it was to continue to push Ollie around in his life, what it might take away from his life?
It could make him have a bad attitude, getting into trouble.
Getting into trouble. How do you think it might affect his school?
With him getting into this, if someone doesn't know him, then they could think that he is bad.
I see. So this troubled reputation would circulate among other people,
Right.
even who don't know Ollie?
For someone that didn't know him.
For someone that didn't know?
Yes.
I see. So
They would think that he hit someone with a belt and hurt him, which he didn't hurt the boy.
yes.
But it doesn't sound right to hit someone with a belt.
I see. So certain stories would be told about Ollie
Yes.
that may invite even more bits of trouble?
I want him, by taking the TV, I want him to know if he goes to school or wherever he goes, just mind his own business. If someone does something to him, just tell the teacher or an adult and not fight back if he don't have to.
I see. Do you have a sense of whether or not you would agree with what your mom's saying or disagree with what your mom's saying?
I agree.
Yeah, why would you agree with what your mom's saying about not letting trouble or other people push you into more trouble?
Because if people push me into more trouble, then I'll be in even more trouble. I'll be in a whole lot of trouble.
Okay, so trouble brings on more trouble? Would that be right in saying? I don't know if that's what you're saying. Are you suggesting that the more trouble you get into, the more trouble could affect your life? Yeah? Would that make sense to you? Trouble brings trouble?
Yes. The school district that he's in, it's sort of weird to me. For instance, if the kids get into something, I think that the principal should first of all try to see about straightening the situation out call the parents in, and things I don't think it would get out of hand.
You mean go
Like
to court?
this thing, yeah, right,
Yes.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
Because kids do different things that may not make sense, you know, because they're not old enough to know not to do different things.
Do you think because of other things that have, other bits of trouble that have happened in the school, that they dealt with Ollie in this way?
I think because of this school district that this thing was dealt in. I know the mother apologized because,
you?
yes,
So the mother apologized to you? Did they apologize
because
to
she
Ollie
didn't
as well?
know. She probably did, didn't she?
Apologized to Ollie as well? Yeah.
But once you have someone to go to court, you don't know what the judge is going to say. And see, the judge, he talked like he knew him personally, like he had did something real bad, and he's not bad like that.
What was the experience like going to court?
It wasn't a good one.
Wasn't a good one?
And for a whole year, we'll have to go up and down the road going back to court, probation officer. And,
Is that what happened? Did you get a probation officer?
Yes.
40 hours of community service work.
40 hours of community service
Yeah.
work.
And I think it's $300 and some fine, you know, and a year's time that you'll have to pay.
Yeah. So this troubled story got brought on a life of its own.
Right.
Is that what happened? Yeah. Do you have any idea as to why it is that you might have been treated in this way?
Do you know, Ollie?
No.
You don't know why?
Do you have a suspicion or a hunch as to why Ollie was treated in this way?
Do you know?
Do you know? I get a sense that you have a twinkle in your eye and you've got a hunch going on here.
I just wanted to see what he would say.
Oh, I see. Do you have a sense that he knows?
Do you know why?
Nope.
Would you mind if your mom let me in on what her hunch is? You don't want her to say?
I mean, I do mind.
You don't mind?
You
I can hear. Would you mind, would that be a good place to go here and tell me your hunch of what's going on?
Okay, I've had experience with schools, another district school that I didn't have, and never had this type problem. This school district out here, it just seemed like at least little anything, things that could be straightened out, the district make a big thing out of it.
Yeah.
And if the kid get to high school, if he doesn't watch what he's doing, I mean, real careful. Be real careful. They're out.
I see. Do you have a sense as to why the school district here is structured this way and the one you used to be in is not?
Yes, I know why.
Why is that?
I was told that they hadn't got used to the black kids going to the school.
As a mother, what is it like to have that told to you, that the school district is operating in certain ways because black kids are now in the school?
Well, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I never had anyone to bother me. No, I mean, I didn't, no matter what color they were, I never had no one to bother me. But it seemed like once the boys get in that school district, they really have to be careful. The girls can get out pretty good if they don't get to be bad girls. But the boys have to really watch themselves real careful in everything they do.
So do you think that race had something to do with how Ollie was treated?
I think so, because if it had been a white boy, it was a white boy, but if it had been two white boys, I don't think they wouldn't have went to court.
So the person that was involved with Ollie was white?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's not a bad boy either. It was just that the parent, both of them or one, just made a big thing out of it.
Yeah, yeah. As a mother, how does it feel to have Ollie exposed to this system that maybe he might get treated differently because of the color of his skin?
Well, I don't like it.
You don't like it?
So, no, I do not like it. And it's like you have a black principal in the high school, black principal in the, in the junior high and the school he goes to. So if you can't be the principal and help all the people, why be a principal when you can't do all the people good? If you don't have the power to go with the principal job, there's no sense in you being one. So I don't really know what they have one for.
I see. If I was to ask the principal that question, how do you think he might respond? That he needs to treat everyone with the same level of respect and same way?
I don't know what he would say, because I really don't know what he has the job for. If he can't, say 1 year we went to the grade school, and this black principal, I had told him about a white teacher, something she did. He said, well, I don't want to take sides. I wasn't asking him to take sides. I was just, he could have brought both of us in to find out, well, why was she doing that?
Exactly. Yeah. Do you think that the principal would respect your opinion of what went on?
He'd have to.
He'd have to.
Especially when you're telling the truth.
Yeah. Tell me, what did the mother of the white boy say to you when she phoned up and apologized?
No, she was in court. All of us were in court.
Oh.
And she told me she was sorry. I think it probably was that they would have him go to court, and that would make him afraid not to do that again.
I see.
I don't think they thought that they would do all that they did.
Who?
I don't. Okay,
The
the other
family?
boy. Yes, I don't think they did it thinking that they would do all that the judge did.
Yeah.
I think that they just thought that we'd go into court and that would scare him into never doing that again.
I see. And how did they feel after the probation and the community hours and the fine came down in court?
The mother just told me that she was sorry and that she didn't know that they would do all that.
What did you make of that?
Of her saying that? I only said that once you go to court, you don't know what the judges say. You never know what he'll say. So if you don't have to go to court, you stay out of there.
So do you think that trouble might find the African American children in the school quicker and they'll develop reputations of trouble more than the other children in the school? Do you think they're more likely to take that on?
I think so.
Why do you think that?
But it's not only, I'm not the only one that has had a bad experience out here.
There's been others?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a brother that had a girl going to school, very quiet girl, never bothered anyone. She couldn't finish high school there. She had to go to another school.
Why was that?
She was picked on.
Picked on, you mean racially picked on?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think it was. I don't know.
So as a mother being involved in this neighborhood and school, are there ways in which you've come to know that that you can make it a bit safer for your child?
Do I know of another way?
Or what ways, and can you make it safe for them, or is that possible?
It's a way. it's a way that you can go to that type of school and get out of there. But these kids do not want to. Okay, they don't want to take a lot of.
You could say it.
A lot of what? If they think someone's not treating them right, they won't take that stuff like someone used to take.
How do you mean?
You know, like
I think I
black kids used to take that stuff, but they don't take it anymore.
Right.
And then once they say something, then they'll say that they're starting something.
Right. So
It's really that too. It's really worse than it was when I went to school.
how so?
Because I went to a school, and if any of the kids started a fight or anything, the principal say he was not going to have it. He said that all the kids always went there and they always will. And see, that's what the principal out here have to do.
Is say what?
Say that he's not going to have the kids, picking at each other, or some teacher doing something to the child that she shouldn't.
Yeah, I've said that. He has said that before.
The principal did.
What did he say?
Said the same thing she said.
Which was what? Which part?
Like, about he doesn't want kids picking on each other, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or talking about each other's mothers and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel welcomed in the school that you go to? You feel like you belong in the school that you go to?
Well, not really, because they moved us from one school to that was closer to our house to a different one that's out in Creek.
How are those two schools different? Are they different in any ways, or
I don't know.
did you prefer one to another?
I prefer the one I we live, because it's like close to our house.
Yeah. Yeah.
The atmosphere is different.
How so?
It's different. Like if you walk in the office or something, you don't expect for them to roll out the red carpet for you, but they act like you didn't even walk in.
At the new school?
Yes.
I see. And do you
Well,
ever
see, that type thing is done for, so, like, if I treat you like this, you get out of here. That's what it's for.
so
And see, a lot of people, when they can, they just move out. Just move on away. Where they don't have to be bothered with that.
would white mothers be treated differently than black mothers in the school?
Yes. For instance, like when this girl collided with him, and the teacher and her mother came in and yelled at him and say, "Don't you ever hit my daughter again?" When you could see, the mark on his face where they collided with each other, he did not hit her. Had I walked in and yelled at that child, I would have been supposed to been doing something I didn't have any business.
So there are different rules for different mothers?
Seemed like to me.
Do you talk with other mothers about this?
No.
Having Ollie go through this experience as a mother, how does it make you feel?
Make you feel like you're about 3 feet tall. And it makes you feel like if you get your money together, you move out too. You'll move out, rather than to stay there and put up with something like that.
Yeah. Is that being considered? Like, is
Yes.
this event being
Yes.
so difficult and heartbreaking for this family that you've considered a move? Yeah. Yeah. Do Do you have a sense of what your mother's feeling around this, Ollie, and why?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think your mom's feeling about this, and why?
That I don't think that they should have like moved us from one school to another and stuff, then started treating us different.
I see. Were there more black kids in the other school you were in?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think is most upsetting to your mom about, this troubled reputation that has been placed on you?
Oh, because the principal didn't he didn't bring us together to ask us why it happened or anything. He just asked me why did I hit him with the belt.
I see. Your mom has a hunch that if it was two white boys that this had happened to, maybe it wouldn't have gone to court. Would you agree with that or disagree with that?
Agree.
You would agree?
Yeah.
Why would you agree with that?
Because if it's two white boys getting along they're friends or anything, they'll treat each other better, right? But if it's a black boy and white boy, they'll treat each other different or something like that.
Do they? And if it's two black boys, how do they get along okay?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a hunch as to why that is? No. It just happens that way, or is that something that you've known before?
It just happens that way.
Just happens that way. And do you have a hunch as to why it might just happen that way? No. Do you ever have talks with your mom about why things happen that way sometimes?
Not really.
No. Do you think that might be important to talk with your mom or your dad or your brothers about this?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Any speculation about what they might say?
No.
Okay. Given that this has gone on, and you have to do the 30 hours of community service, 60 hours, 30? 40, sorry.
Yes.
40 hours and pay the fine. Has this in any way changed your view of yourself?
No.
No. How do you continue to see yourself? As a troubled person or a good boy person?
Good.
Good. In spite of all of this and going to court and, all the trouble that's happened, why is it that you would, or what is it that does it tell you about yourself that you still hold strong to this good boy reputation?
I don't know.
Do you think if I interviewed some of your pals or your brothers or your mom, what do you think they'd tell me about who you are as a good boy?
I don't know.
You don't have any idea? What kinds of things might they tell me about you that would tell me that you still have a really good reputation as a good boy?
That I don't start anything.
You don't start
for other
anything?
people.
Yeah. What else might they tell me about you? Would
That
they
I don't disrespect people.
don't disrespect people? Okay, what else might they tell me? If I was just to sit them here in the room or write them a letter or give them a phone call, I say, I want to know about Ollie and his good reputation. Can you tell me about him? What do you think about him? What might they tell me about you?
I'm a good friend.
You're a good friend. Yeah? Did they tell me that you're a fast runner as well? Like we were talking about in the hallway? So would they say you're a good athlete? And a good student? You told me you had 4 B's, an A, and a C, is that right? Would they maybe tell me that you were a good student?
Yeah.
Yeah. And good at sports? Yeah. What do you think your mom might tell me about you that would lead me to think that you have this very good boy reputation, in spite of everything else that may have gone on?
I don't get in a whole lot of trouble.
Okay. And 2. Are there things that you could tell me about Ollie that would lead me to believe that he's a really good boy and he has a good reputation?
Oh, okay. He does his homework. He doesn't talk back to you. Doesn't say bad words. He doesn't run away.
Would I be right in thinking that you're proud of Ollie
Yes,
as having him as a son?
yes.
Did you know that your mom was proud of you and who you were as her son and who you were as a growing man? Yeah? What's it like to hear that she believes that you're a good boy and you do your homework and you don't talk back and you don't use bad words and that you don't run away, and that she recognizes that as qualities in you?
I feel good.
Do you feel good? Yeah? But what makes you feel good about this?
Everything she said.
Everything?
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, given what's happening, you know, that there's a bit of a story out there of you getting into trouble, how it is that we might circulate the story more about you being a good boy and to gain that good boy reputation back. And I'm wondering if it might help if I was to write a letter to the principal and say that I met you, and I've had a really nice talk with you, and really stand behind your good boy reputation. Would that? Would you think that might fill it out a bit more?
I don't know. I really don't know.
I'm just wondering if other people might need to stand up on your behalf, Ollie, and say, you know, yes, he did get into trouble and he's sorry for it, but, you know, we need to struggle hard to get back his reputation as a good boy, because we fear that he might just become a troubled, or viewed as a troubled boy. Can you think of ways in which we might circulate and make this good boy reputation grow a bit more?
I think, like when something happened at school, they should stop making a big issue out of it, and then it won't go as far.
Yeah. Okay.
I know kids doesn't, you go to school to learn, you don't go to school to play, but they really take a lot of the childhood away from a child if you treat them that way.
Yes.
You know, they can't even go into school and do hardly anything, that they make a big thing out of it.
Right. Yeah. So do you think that there would be ways that, you know, we could stand behind Ollie and his good grades and him wanting to play and him gaining back his reputation?
Yeah, okay, say playing, like if they have recess and you go outside, with him getting into this thing, he can't hardly go outside and play. Because what if he accidentally did something?
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Is,
And then
I'm wondering how long that reputation will be a part of his life and what things we might be able to do.
It seems like it's going to last as long as he's in that school.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if there's something else that we might be able to do about, you know, finding ways in which Ollie can stand up for himself as a good person and as a good boy, and let people know about this. Like, can you think of ways you might be able to let people know that you're not a troubled person, but you're really a good boy person and have a good boy reputation? Can you think of ways that you would let people know about this? Yeah. Well, I'm wondering if yourself and the people that are close to you who think that you're a good boy might be able to find time and begin thinking of ways to circulate these rumors about yourself being a good person, and wanting to finish school and wanting to have a good living and wanting to own a house and wanting not to be in trouble or go to jail, and knowing that you're not disrespectful and that you're a good friend, that you're a good student and you're good in sports and that you don't get into a whole lot of trouble. I mean, how is it that you can make that story bigger about yourself? We know exactly what you can do to make the troubled story bigger, don't we? So I'm just wondering if you have any ideas about how you can make the big boy reputation, the good boy reputation, stronger in yourself. Like, if you brought some of this respectful and friendly and not getting into trouble ways to school, do you think that might help? Mm-hmm.
I think the district need to change their attitude, and then that won't point the finger at someone like they're a bad person.
Right. Right. Yeah. Are there ways in which these views can be brought to the district? I mean, I'd certainly be willing to write a letter on behalf of Ollie and yourself.
I've talked to the school district, and they know you're telling the truth, but they're not going to go against no one else for what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the meantime, how do you keep his good reputation alive?
I'll tell him different things you have to put up with. I think being a boy you have to, because being a girl, it don't seem like you have to put up with that stuff.
Okay. Do you mind if I keep in contact with Ollie a little bit, see how things are going?
Yes.
And maybe be one of the people on his side to continue to put forward this idea. Would you mind if I dropped you a line from Canada?
Mm-hmm. That's good.
And maybe if there's other kids that I'm working with, maybe I can send you down stories about them and about what they've found, whether it to do with troubled reputations or racism. Hmm? Now we have to wrap things up here.
Okay.
How was this for you?
Oh, this is good. Very good.
Yeah?
Yes.
Was it all right for you, Ollie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any final words you'd like to say?
I'd like to say, I didn't know we would get to tell this story, but it's a true story.
Yeah, and I just want to tell you that I really believe your story, and I'd like to stand behind your story in any way that I can.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very sad that this story is going on for you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I'm saying that to you as the person here with you, but I'm also saying it as a white person. So thank you so much for coming and sharing this story with us.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. See you, Ollie. I'll get your address if you wouldn't mind.
Okay, sure.
Yeah?
Okay, thanks.
Okay.